Hey everybody, it's me, Roger Aladdin Daltrey, and I'm back to do now the very last class now of my graduation. I was supposed to do it, I think, on Friday, but I was away that day and I couldn't do it yesterday either. So now I'm going to do it because apparently there was supposed to be a video I was supposed to do today, but what I might do is I might upload it tomorrow instead. Even though it's the 1 year anniversary of someone's death, I'll tell you about it at the very end of the video. So anyway, now as you already know, I'm doing the very last class today, and personally, my class. Boland. So it was named after Yvonne Boland, the famous poet, and she was the poet in my Pats to Poetry book when I was in school. And I think Yvonne Boland and Sean O'Riordan are the only two poets of those that are still alive. The other four are dead, I think. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So here are the final set of students now for a 1 year anniversary of graduation. So the first student up is, of course, Colette Barber, who was voiced by Cheryl Cole from Girls Aloud, and then, of course, Pocahontas. Then we've got Rihanna Binns, who was voiced by Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, and well, she's Princess Aurora for a cartoon character. She's voiced by Rita Ora. Then we've got Neve Byrne, who was voiced by Jessica Sutter from the Pussycat Dolls, and then of course Moana. Then we've got Jordan Callahan, voiced by John Rabbit Bundrick, who was he's a touring keyboard player, and he played on the Free record Heartbreaker, but he was labelled as Rabbit, not like Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh. It just Rabbit was his nickname. And yes, that's that. Then we have Rebecca Dianzon, who was voiced by Diana Ross from The Supremes. Then we have Joey Farrell, who was another really close friend of mine, and he was voiced by Robbie Krieger from The Doors. Then we got Sean Fitzpatrick, who was voiced by Paul Arthurs from Oasis. And then we got Ethan Flanagan, who was voiced by Garth Hudson from The Band. And then we got Utapong Gitchaman, voiced by Derek Robinson from The Cars. And now this next guy up is the one and only guy voiced by Liam Gallagher, Andrew Henry. So shame on you, Dara. Andrew Henry is the only Liam Gallagher. So Liam Gallagher was voiced Andrew Henry. And then we got Katie Johnston, who was voiced by Melanie C from the Spice Girls. And basically all the Spice Girls except for Jerry Halliwell were part of the cast. Then we've got Dominic Latta, who was voiced by Ray Manzarek from The Doors, who, as I said before, is probably one of my biggest keyboard hero players of all time, along with Tony Banks from Genesis, Rick Wakeman from Yes, Booker T. Jones, and then maybe some of the keyboard players from Aladdin's band, because again, Aladdin is the man and the best musician of all time. And then we've got Cian Linders, who was voiced by Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles. And just to remind you, Cian Linders went straight to 50 as well, and so did Joey Farrell, Rebecca Dianzon, Katie Johnston, and Dominic Latta. They all went straight to 50 as well, and the same with the next student up, Cian's brother, Josh Linders, voiced by Andy Summers from The Police. And the funny story about Cian Linders was, I remember back then when we were in first, second, or third year together, I said to him, "All right, Linders," and he says to me, "All right, legend." So I'll just try it again because I hesitated. I was like, "All right, Linders, hey, legend," he says back to me. Anyway, next student up is Lauren Matthews, who was voiced by Kimberly Walsh from Girls Aloud, and then of course, I think, Jane from Tarzan. And a funny story about her was, at the Debs, she tried to steal me to be her Debs date, but I said no because she's not even blonde, but she is blue-eyed. And anyway, she's not Jasmine. Because again, if you just want a character, don't take Jasmine, because I'm saving her for a special person. A girl that is blonde and blue-eyed, despite the fact that Jasmine has black hair and brown eyes. But at least Linda Larkin is blonde and blue-eyed. That's the important thing. Anyway, then we have Callum McCarthy, but it says on the programme he was called Callum McIntyre. maybe to be like another version of Michael McIntyre. And Michael McIntyre is definitely my top 5 favourite comedians of all time. The favourite is obviously Gilbert Gottfried, who does the voice of Iago from The Man, which is Aladdin. Because again, Aladdin is the man and the best musician of all time. And then we've got Chloe Moroney, who is voiced by Mel B from Spice Girls. And then, of course, since she's friends with the Girl Squad as well, she is Megara from Hercules. And Hercules is definitely another one of my favourite Disney movies. And Hercules will probably be in my top, probably my third favourite male Disney protagonist. So that means, obviously, Megara is my third favourite female protagonist. Because again, number 2, Prince Eric and Ariel. And then, number 1, Aladdin and Jasmine. Because again, Aladdin is the man and the best musician of all time. And Jasmine is the woman and best looking woman ever. And is way better looking than Gami Agneta. Like, how can you say Agneta is better looking than Jasmine? Jasmine is the gear of everything. And when you look at Jasmine, you've seen perfection. And then, what do you do after that? Anyway. And Chloe went straight to 5th year as well. Then we have Christian Morrison, who was voiced by Don Felder from the Eagles. And he went straight to 5th year as well. Then we have Connor Plant, voiced by Ginger Baker from Cream, who also played in Blind Faith with Eric Clapton, and Eric Clapton was also in Cream as well. And Connor went straight to 5th year as well. And then we got Leon Rall, who was voiced by Peter Banks from Yes, only on the first 2 albums. And then we have Amy Redmond, who was voiced by Shakira, and she went straight to 5th year as well. And then we got Kate Ryan, who was voiced by Liz McLaren from Atomic Kitten, and then, of course, Alice from Alice in Wonderland. And Alice is also mentioned in the Monkees song Pillow Time with the line, "There's a wonderland for Alice, there's a tall beanstalk for Jack." Anyway. And then we have Peter Whelan, who was voiced by Nick O'Malley from the Arctic Monkeys. And then finally, me, voiced by myself, Roger Aladdin Daltrey, or just professionally known as Aladdin. So anyway, that's it. That's the end of the Boland class. And just for all the students in my class, it's just crazy to think it's been a year now since I've last been with you guys. And that brings me now to the end of the students of my entire year group. And I'm going to say this again, but this time it's for all 6 classes. It's just mad to think it's been a year since I'd last been with you. And if I had to tell you one of my best memories for you guys, it was when we were on the yard one day in 2016 and me kicking the water bottle on the yard and then basically laughing afterwards and me being all just bollocks I was. And then basically all of us laughing away and we just couldn't stop laughing. It was just so funny. So that's one of my favourite memories of the entire year in the 5th year. So anyway, thank you very much, guys. And then I will upload the next video in the forthcoming days for the 1-year anniversary tribute for Peter Sallis, whose anniversary is today, but despite the fact that his death wasn't announced until 3 days later. So I'll do a tribute video for that maybe either tomorrow or on the bank holiday weekend. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.